Ladies and gentlemen, we have a legend among us. It's a great honor for me because to present the next guest. He's the reason, and maybe also for his generation, that we are here as an industry. They have made a huge impact and took fitness out from the basements of the sport and put it on the map. And probably right now, fitness, it is the biggest sport in the world. If you take all the members from all clubs, I don't know, we should make this exercise and compare with football, which everybody thinks that football is the greatest sport. I think fitness will win. And this generation that have shown us that we can do more with our body, we can transform our body, we can push our body to the next limits. This generation and have also create products from their work and their experience, products that we are using right now. Either it's a fitness chain, like Work Class, or a great type of exercise, which is high-intensity training, or supplement, like nutrition. These people came and bring and pay back to us from their experience. Ladies and gentlemen, he was known as the Shadow. He was 6 times Mr. Olympia, Mr. Dorian Yates. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. So I'm here today, thanks to RoActive for inviting me here to speak. I'm here, there's many aspects to being a professional bodybuilder. And by the way, from the basement, literally, because I trained in a basement gym of like 200 square meters. So that was back in the 80s. So literally, the industry has come from that to what it is today. So there are many aspects to being a professional bodybuilder. I'm happy to talk about all of them, but mainly concentrating on the aspect of training today, which is probably my pet and favorite subject to talk about. So I was 6 times Mr. Olympia, which is undisputedly the premier title in professional bodybuilding, and I held that for 6 years consecutively. My starts, as I say, were in the middle of the 80s, came from Birmingham, from a small gym, and I was able to go from there to United States, where professional bodybuilding was mainly centered. Now it's a bit more international, but
yes.
Then it was very much in America. The whole sport was there. And I was told, you know, you're not going to be able to do well in that sport because you come from England and you come from a little gym and et cetera, et cetera. But it turned out a bit differently. And so I was the best professional bodybuilder in the world. And I'm just going to make a statement, first of all, and then I'll go back on that. So I achieved this level of physique, muscular development, to be the best in the world. And I trained with weights, no more than 1 hour, 4 times a week. And I was beating people that were training much more than that. So I'd like to delve into training, high-intensity training, and I think this is very relevant for the gym industry and the gym owners, because the average retention, how long does somebody go to the gym and decide, oh, I'm not going to do it anymore? 5 months. 5 months is the average that somebody goes to the gym and then decides to leave. I believe that is because they're frustrated, because they don't get the results that they're expecting to get, and that's a result of not having the correct information. So the principle behind high-intensity training is there is a trigger. There's something that happens in the body in order to get a response, i.e. bigger, stronger, muscles. So what is that trigger? What is it that triggers that growth? So if it was, in fact, volume or amount of time put in the gym, as a professional bodybuilder, then, you know, it's an elite sport, we're very driven to succeed. If I needed to train in the gym 10 hours a day, every day, I would have done it, but I understood the science behind it. That the trigger for muscle growth is intensity. So it's the intensity of effort that sparks that trigger. Just to give you an analogy that somebody gave me when I was younger, and it's very simple, but it makes the point. If you had a stick of dynamite and you tap that stick of dynamite with a pencil one time, nothing's going to happen, because the force, the intensity of effort, the blow on that stick of dynamite is not sufficient enough. So if I tap it with a pencil, nothing happens. If I tap it twice, is anything going to happen? No. I tap it 10 times, 100 times, nothing's going to happen. If I get a hammer and hit it bang one time, you're going to get the reaction. So it's just an analogy. What triggers muscle growth is the intensity of effort. And then the other aspect to that is you must recover from the stress of that intensity. So you need time away from the gym to recover, rest, nutrition, and so on, which is another aspect of it. So how did I come up with this high-intensity training? I didn't, think of it out of nowhere. There was already a history there, so I'll go a little bit back on that. The first person to really bring light to this and write about it and what is muscle growth, what it's about, how do we trigger it, was a guy called Arthur Jones. Some of you might have heard of him, probably a lot of people haven't, because Arthur Jones was back in early 70s. He formed the Nautilus Machines, Nautilus Equipment Company, which is still around, but it's in a different guise now. So he discovered that's the trigger, the intensity of effort, and then the other side is like the training you do, you're damaging the muscle fiber, you're breaking it down. It's outside the gym that you recover and you grow. So my point is, if I could achieve the best physique in the world at that point, doing 4 hours a week, and a professional bodybuilder has to work on a lot of aspects, aesthetic things, like you need to work on the lateral deltoid to get the shape, the rear deltoid. This might not be relevant for the average person that's going to the gym to look better, to feel better, and more importantly, I think most importantly, to enhance the health. And we get more and more science now coming out, basically validating this. And now we're realizing that muscle mass is very important for your health, especially as you get older. A lot of age-related diseases can be avoided by maintaining your muscle mass. As you get older, your muscle mass starts to decline, and as you get older, you start to get age-related diseases, osteoporosis, blood sugar issues, diabetes, and so on. This couldn't be rectified by restoring the muscle mass. If you're 50, 60 years old and you build the muscle mass that you had when you're 20, you can rectify these problems. So the importance of the training is basically, we have a gym for a reason. You're going there for a reason. You're going there to improve and to get the results. And if you don't, then you tend to get frustrated. So I'm trying to educate people about the science of training and how do we trigger the muscle growth. So that's why I opened the talk with I won Mr. Olympia training 4 hours a week. So the average person, I believe, if they train correctly, they could do probably 30 minutes twice a week, 3 times a week, and make absolute difference to their life. And I'm not speaking theoretically because I actually coach and train people as well. So I've seen it time and time again, even up into people in the 70s. Just some basic exercises to build the muscle mass back. So The history was Arthur Jones was the first one to kind of realize this and start writing about it. And then there was a professional bodybuilder called Mike Mensa who took it and adapted it to the sport, and I took it a little bit further. And I was very analytical about my training. So I started training back in 1983, and I did my last competition in 1997. And I've got every single workout written down. I mean, we didn't have technology then, we didn't have an iPad or something, so I got a pile of books like this with all the workouts written down. If I made any changes, if I trained more frequently or less often, or I took more rest, or whatever changes I made, I would document it, and then I would see what the reaction is. So I'm kind of doing my own little science experiment, and that's been now also trialed many times, different experiments. How often do people need to train? If you train once a week or twice a week, what's the outcome? So there's literally hundreds of studies out there now basically validating what I've been saying, which is interesting. I already knew, but it's good that other people are agreeing with me. So I think it's very relevant for gym owners, because you want to retain your clients as long as possible. You want to give them results. If you give them results and you change their life, you make a positive change in their life, they're going to stay with you. As simple as that. But obviously, we're not really perfecting that, because people are leaving after an average of 5 months. So that's the main point I wanted to talk about, and I want to ask you open some questions as well. I'm sure people have a lot of questions
for sure.
now.
I think you're going to stay here until, you know.
Well, it's human nature to believe that more is always better. So if half an hour's training is good, an hour would be better, or 2 hours. But there's a cut-off point somewhere, and it's much, much lower than most people think. And normally when I do a seminar for, gym bodybuilders and so on, I'll open by saying, everybody here trains too often, but does not train hard enough. And I think 99.9% of the time I'm correct in just making that opening statement, but it starts people thinking.
Absolutely. And you have a big point in saying that our members leave us because they don't see results. That's so. In our statistics, we look and we see that they don't renew the membership because they did not use it. They did not use it because they don't see results. And your method and this high-intensity training can be learned like online or via the personal trainers that you train, and then they spread the method. How does it work?
You can learn online. I have online coaching called DY Academy, where I help people, and they can film themselves doing an exercise and go, am I doing it correctly? Am I going to the limit? So that's a great tool. But always, hands-on is always better if you can, but obviously you can't be physically with everybody. But if the coaches are educated in these methods, which normally they're not, that would be a great help.
Did you train with a trainer back in the days? How it was?
Well, the whole bodybuilding sport and the culture has changed. There were no coaches when I started. It didn't exist, and actually that appealed to me because it's a very individual effort. So not only did I have to go to the gym and train, I had to learn about nutrition, I had to learn about supplementation, I had to learn about everything. I had to learn myself, and I had this tool, which was my record books, my diet, my training. So I was analyzing, does this work? Let me try this. I'm training 3 times a week, so what will happen now if I train 4 times a week? I'll do it for a month and see what happens. And I noticed whenever I did more frequency and longer workouts, my progress would come to a halt. Okay, interesting. What shall I do now? Do less. The progress starts again. So it's there black and white in front of me. So I didn't have coaches. Now in bodybuilding you have coaches, you have nutritionists, you have,
somebody to motivate
psychologists,
yes.
whatever. But, is the outcome better? Are bodybuilders now better than they were 30 years ago? The general feeling in the industry is no, they're not.
Yeah.
And I personally am very much an individual, so it appealed to me that I had to learn about training and nutrition and everything. But that was my passion. The passion became my profession.
And now you give back to the industry the things that you tested on yourself.
Exactly, and I hate to see people wasting time.
Yes.
Time and effort is a resource that's limited, right? So we don't want to waste time, and the average person, again, is not going to do what I did. It's going to analyze this because it's my profession. So, you have a business, you have a job, you have family, you have children, you have a lot of things going on. You just want to go there and do what you got to do, and
be effective.
I got a car. I drive my car. I like the car to function well and everything like that. But if there's a problem, I take it to the mechanic. I don't have time to read about cars. I'm not interested. But I want my car to work. So I think the gyms and the trainers need to be educated so they can give better results to the clients. The clients are going to stay. And it's going to be better for the business, it's going to be better for the clients, all around.
And for the entire world, healthier people, that it means healthier world. I have a personal question. It's always been my struggle. What was the most difficult part? It was the trainings or the nutrition?
For me, the most difficult part is not the nutrition as in what do I eat, because I worked it out. But to get into the shape is very extreme. We're talking about an extreme sport here. To get into the condition of a professional bodybuilder, which is basically contradictory goals. Maximum muscle mass, minimal body fat is very hard to achieve. And there's no way you're going to achieve that without being pretty uncomfortable and very hungry and very tired sometimes. So just the fact that you're not eating enough to get into that condition. That was the hardest thing, and that was the most disciplined thing. Because I love to train. Nobody needs to push me to go to the gym, I love to do it anyway. But it's tough when your body's telling you, I'm hungry, I want to eat. You need energy because you're training, and you're going to, no, I'm not going to do it. So absolutely, the diet to get into that condition was the toughest, but that's not relevant really to the average person that wants to get in shape, build some muscle mass and be healthy,
Yeah, I think everybody who's practicing fitness and wanted to just have a better result, at one point we just train and then, okay, I would like to have it a little bit better. I would want to be more, have more muscles. And always, for me, it was the nutrition part. It was the most difficult because I think sports comes from passion. You do it with passion and you see results. Food is also emotional. I think we don't have like this limit between emotional eating and then the things that you eat as a necessity, like how much protein and so on.
But it's also important that you know how much protein you need. Most people don't know how much protein they're taking in and so on. So protein is definitely the most important factor to build muscle mass and even to retain the muscle mass as you get older. Actually, as you get older, you need less carbohydrates ideally and more protein and more fat.
We are losing 1% of the muscles and bone structure after 40. It is amazing.
And muscle mass is the biggest organ in the body. As you lose muscle mass, you lose the sensitivity in the cells to the glucose and so on. So that starts to lead to blood sugar problems and possible diabetes and so on. And I was quite shocked to read recently that if you're over 60 and you fall over and you break your hip, 50% chance that you will never recover from that and you will die from that injury. So, looking good is great, but being healthy is even more important.
Yeah, you also mentioned very, very well that the science now, it's actually backing up your experience that building muscles, especially when you're getting old, it also helps you as a mental state. It will help the entire body.
Absolutely. Being fit will help your mental state. I mean, just going to the gym is already raising some neurotransmitters in your brain and so on, because human beings are not, it's not a natural environment that we live in now with the technology and all the comforts and everything like that. Human body operates best under some hormetic stress, some kind of stress, and training is a stress. We used to hunt, we used to run, we used to have periods without food and when we're cold and sometimes it's too hot and all these stresses actually, at an extreme, could kill you, but a little bit of poison is actually good for you.
Yeah,
you know?
you just you become more resilient actually with
Exactly.
the
The
environment.
human body is made like that. It's meant to function under some
Yeah.
degree of stress. It's not supposed to be not moving and being comfortable all the time.
Yeah, we probably you heard that we are here in Romania. We see a great potential for the fitness market. We're gonna all the predictions shows that we're gonna grow. We are now like 4%, 4.5% penetration in that market. I know that UK has around 20 or 20 something. We are growing now. We have in the room around 100 operators from across the country, and they are willing to learn more about this industry, and especially if you can give us some advices for this important source of revenue, which is the personal trainings, which indeed personal trainings done well will help you retain the members, grow your retention. How much is this education, and how much is the importance of the personal training in the gyms?
I think it's very important for a lot of people. As I said, I've got a car, but what do I do with it if I want to fix it? Take it to a mechanic. He must know what to do. I don't have time. So a lot of people would benefit from a personal trainer. If they can't afford it, then there's information online that they can learn themselves and everything. But the point is the personal trainer really educated in what he's doing? Is he really you know, giving the right information? In my experience, a lot of the times, no.
Yeah, for sure. I think sometimes they try the easiest way. Sometimes they sell donuts to the members, and then when the results are not showing, is this because they don't have a proven method of trainings? Because they learn this by their peers or something, or will
I think a lot of people not. You know, if you go to be certified by whatever, you know, some federation in England, I don't know who does it here, they give you a lot of general information, but they're not really giving you the science of what's required. It's a lot less in regards of time, ideally, than personal trainers usually would be advocating. They would probably 4 or 5 times a week, an hour, hour and a half for the average person. And it's not ideal. It's detrimental to do too much. So the question is, what's the ideal volume of training to do to get the maximum results? And if you could get your optimal results training 30 minutes twice a week, why would you want to go every day for an hour? You have other things to do with your life. You know, so it's better time-wise, but you get the same results. They did a meta-analysis, like, you know, a lot of different studies, put it all together. And they were comparing training, for instance, your legs once a week or training your legs twice a week. The outcome was pretty much the same.
Once is enough.
Once is enough. I only trained each body part once a week. And, you know, I was a professional bodybuilder. So I was not working another job. I didn't have other, you know, stresses on my time. And that's the maximum amount I needed. So here's an example behind us, just a chest workout. And I always say to people, if I write down on a piece of paper, which is basically like this, and give you this, you'll be looking at that like, what is that? That's nothing. But it's not the volume, it's not the number of sets that you do, it's the effort that you put into that set. So, of course, you don't go to the gym and get maximum bench press and let me do it. You need to warm up, for safety reasons, to get the nervous system firing and so on. But once you get to that point, and you do a set, and you do it to the maximum, you don't need to do another set on the exercise. It's just more stress that your body needs to recover from. You need to give the ideal amount of stress, so it's triggering, but your body can recover from it, because you must recover before you go back to the gym and do it again. Another analogy that I use at seminars sometimes, it's simple, but gets the point across. If you have some sandpaper and you rubbed it on your skin here until it was a bit red and broken and a bit bloody, you've damaged the tissue, you've damaged the skin.
Yeah.
This is similar to
Yeah,
lifting weights
to
and damaging the
muscle,
muscle.
yes.
So if we wait, the skin will heal itself
Yeah.
a bit stronger than before because
Yeah.
it's anticipating it may come across
The
as stress
stress,
in
yeah.
the future. Same thing with the muscle. Right, if we got a bit of sandpaper and we went tippy, 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 there will be no damage
No.
to recover. Okay, one thing. If we trained it really hard and it's bleeding and it's all red, but we go and we do it again before it's recovered. Also, we're not getting anywhere. So
No.
if you don't train hard enough, you won't get anywhere. If you train hard but you train too much, it's too much for your body to recover from. So
Yeah.
it's in the middle.
Yeah, I think also for our members, it's important to understand that the muscles, they recover when they rest.
Absolutely. When you're training, you're not building anything.
No.
You're damaging it. It's like you're knocking the wall down in your house that you want to refurb. And then guys are going to come with bricks
Yeah.
and they're going to build it. If they don't have time to build it,
And
you won't get anywhere. Or they don't have any bricks, i.e. protein.
yeah.
They don't have enough bricks. Or they have some bricks, but I run out now.
But
You know?
if you mentioned protein, if I will only have to take one shake of protein during the day, let's say, when will be the best time to take it?
There is no best time to take it because it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like, okay, you go to train and you break things down and then you need a protein afterwards because you're going to recover like after the workout. No, it's an ongoing process all the time. So going back to the brick laying analogy, your body's repairing and overturning cells all the time, and so it's an ongoing process all the time. It doesn't happen in 1 hour after the workout. It happens all the time. So you would ideally get 1 gram of protein for each pound of body weight. So kilos here, yeah? So 2.2 grams of protein per kilo throughout the day. So let's say you're 200 pounds, you want 200 grams of protein throughout the day. But you don't have it all after the workout or all for breakfast. You have it throughout the day because your body breaks the protein down to amino acids and then they're floating around and they're the bricks
Yeah.
that the guy needs to build the house.
Just as
So
out
they
of-
need bricks all day. Don't need bricks in the morning and no bricks in the afternoon.
Out of curiosity, do you know what time it takes for the body to start break down in the gut, or in the stomach, the protein into amino acids, and then from that it will go?
Depends on the source. I mean, amino acid, if you take an amino acid supplement, it's already broken down, so you can go directly. If it's a protein powder, it's probably a lot quicker than eating a steak. But the point is that if you're putting some protein into your diet like every 3 hours or something like that, there's a constant stream of amino acids available for this repair process. So that's the answer. And protein shake is great because it's convenient.
Yeah.
Maybe after your workout is a good time, or anytime you want it throughout the day. You can have whole food sources like eggs, chicken, beef, fish, dairy products, stuff like that. Or you can use a protein supplement. I have the habit of having 4 meals a day and 2 protein shakes because I found it hard to eat 6 times a day, and sometimes it's a bit inconvenient because you're doing something and that's where the shake comes in. Huh?
Yeah. Good. Do you have questions? Okay. So you have, that's before and after. You just change
These
here.
are some clients that I work with, just to give an example.
Your clients?
Yeah. There's Gabriel is, inspirational guy in the wheelchair. He became second in the Mr. Olympia wheelchair. So he came and, that's like the result of training with me for 2 months. It was challenging because I never trained somebody in a wheelchair before, so some exercises were difficult, but you can see the change. He told me in 2 months he made more progress than in the previous 2 years when he came to train with me.
You train him in a high-intensity training method?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Great.
Everybody I train with high intensity. Even for cardiovascular training, I recommend high intensity because you can get the same results in a short period of time. There I'm training with my son, Lewis. So when we talk about intensity,
it
we
is
talk
an
about
explosion when you pull, and then you
and slow
gradually release.
the negative down because you have 2 or 3 phases to an exercise, depending on the exercise. You have the positive, the lifting, and you have the negative, the lowering. And some exercises you have resistance in the peak contraction. For instance, on back, when you pull down, you're contracting here.
Yeah.
So the positive part of the rep is fairly explosive, and the negative is always slowed down. Why slow down the negative? Because you're around 20 to 30% stronger on the negative part of the movement. So if you don't slow it down and concentrate on it, you might, oh, I've finished on the positive, but there's energy left in the negative. So we're trying to take the set to failure on all levels, positive, negative, and static as well, ideally.
Yeah.
And then that's sending the message to the muscle.
What I noticed is if I train like this, so I noticed that I can train more safe because I don't put more weights. I can train with a lower weight. If I concentrate on the negative part, my muscle gets really tired, and I'm much better than the time that I'm training, really pushing the hardest, because I got injured on that.
Well, we want to make sure that the muscles we're trying to work are the ones lifting the weight. So it's form. Some people get the wrong idea when I say intensity and you're going to push and everything, and then they start trying to lift too much weight and not adhering to the correct form. If you do it correctly, then the injury risk is minimal because you're controlling the weight all the time.
Yeah, that is what I also learned from my experience, that if I start controlling the weight and the movement, I don't need higher, let's say, weight to get in that.
Well, bodybuilding, muscle building is not weightlifting. You know, weightlifting or powerlifting is totally different because your job is to get the weight from A to B and use whatever you can. Momentum, leverage, shorten the range, whatever you can do, that's your job. With bodybuilding, it's not about lifting weights, it's about using the weight as a tool to put the maximum stress on the muscle to trigger that muscle growth. So it's concentration and doing the exercise correctly.
Great. Yeah, I think it's a eye-opener for most of us. Questions from the audience?
Anybody in the audience got any questions?
Do they cover everything? No, I don't think so. I will want. So, what is the best break? So, you do the exercise, and how much should we let the muscle rest before we start the next set?
It depends on the particular exercise. So we want to take the sets to muscular failure. Yeah. So let's say it depends which muscles are involved. The bigger the muscles, the more oxygen it needs as fuel. So you probably noticed if you do a set of squats or leg press heavy to failure, you're going to be breathing really heavy afterwards because you used a lot of muscle mass. So you want to wait until your breathing is somewhat normal before you go to the next set because you want to do it to failure. Let's say I do the set of squats or leg press to failure and I'm breathing really heavy, and then I go to do another one. I won't go to muscular failure. There's a chance my cardiovascular system would not be able to keep up with the muscles.
So breath, it's our indicator that it's time to...
Or I do, a curl.
Yeah.
It's a biceps. It's a very small muscle. So maybe after 45 seconds, I feel good and I go again. But legs, maybe it's 2 or 3 minutes. I don't sit with the watch. I look at if I'm training somebody else, I look at them, how they're looking. If they're talking quite easily, then it's time for them to go, and the same thing with myself. I just use my feeling, because everybody reacts a little bit differently, so I can't say exactly.
Yeah, like 20 seconds. Yeah. I saw people that are sitting like 20 seconds, now do it again, but you don't have yet the power restoring your muscles.
It depends on your goal. If you want a little muscle stimulation, a little cardio, you can do this like a circuit or CrossFit or something, but my specialty is building muscle mass, so that's what I'm talking about.
Last question from me, because you don't have. How do you motivate your clients to to stay on track?
I think it's very important to have goals. You know, set yourself some goals for this month, for the year. Maybe a year is a long goal. I want to do this. I want to lose 10 kilos, or I want to put this on, or whatever it is. Yeah, this is your long-term goal. But break this down into little goals, because otherwise it's so far away. Huh?
Yeah.
Am I going to get there or not? And you can get disillusioned because you think it's so far away. So set a goal for this month. Right, I want to put 5 kilos on my bench press, or something like that. Some achievable goal, and then for the workout today. When you go to the gym today, you should have a definite goal in your mind. What I'm going there, what exercises I'm doing, what do I try to achieve on that exercise, and it's very helpful if you know what you did last week. Try to beat last week. You did 8 reps last week, I'm going today, I've got to do 9, I've got to do 9. And it depends on your goal. If your goal is important, then you'll be willing to put the work in, but it's like every day to have a little goal, and you feel good as well. It's a reward.
Yeah,
oh, I did that.
Small wins.
I did that. I did the small win every time, and then in the end you get the big prize. Well, the big prize is over there, and it's too far away. You can lose your way. You know.
Yeah.
I always say if you go in a boat, on a ship or something, and you want to sail from from England to New York, but you didn't have a map or anything, you're probably not going to get there.
No.
So
you
need
need the map.
You need a plan.
Guys, I want you to look a little bit like the way Dorian is sitting next to the client. I saw so many times in our gyms that the trainer sits somewhere there and just dictates like you do that, go there and there. Look the engagement and and imagine that client, he feels that he's rewarded, he's important to that. He's not just another client. This is how I look, and you see you're sitting there and that you actually work with them.
I'm giving a lot of focus, a lot of energy.
Yeah.
I'm helping him by talking to him, do this, and if he's getting a little stuck, I'm there. And if anyone feels not motivated to go to the gym, have a look at this guy. He's waiting outside the gym with me in his wheelchair with a big smile on his face. It doesn't matter how I feel that day. When I see him, I'm like, okay, man, there's nothing to be. Look at this guy, So he's a great inspiration, even for me,
Yeah, because you have been there for him, and he grew with you next to him, and then he has confidence in you, and then you get your. You also, like you said, you also take the power from also his results.
Yeah, no, it's great for me to see what he achieved, and inspiring guy, for everybody. Look, when I'm training him, you have to have one guy to hold his wheelchair, another guy to hold his leg sometimes because it's coming out of the machine.
Yeah.
But he's there and he does it, and he became second best wheelchair bodybuilder in the world. So, very inspirational.
Thank you. Thank you, Dorian. I really hope that touch a nerve, and you guys, you have something to take home. Also, you should take something home from the stand of the nutrition.
Yeah, we have the stand outside, and there's some sample products for everybody. Grab
so
a
you
DY
take
bag.
something physical.
So you got pre-workout as well. If you take that pre-workout, you're going to feel like going to the gym or cleaning the house or something.
I will take that. Next morning, I will be in the gym. I will tell you how it feels.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you. Very inspirational. Thank you very much.